Okay, we're going to start with the onset today. So on the onset, this has to do with density. So we'll go to modules. There's going to be just enough time to get all this in. Here's Monday's stuff. It's still on there. You see there's week 4. I left it on for everybody to kind of get caught up if you have to. And here's Tuesdays. And it will just keep stacking underneath here. And week 4 will just keep getting pushed down further and further. That's what happens. Tuesday's onset. This comes out of the textbook. And I'm not saying you should bring it every day. But it's not like we're going to use it every day. Okay, just if there's an onset or something, I'll keep it on campus. So that even if you have to stay home, like on Wednesdays, we're all going to be home anyway. So, critical thinking, I think it's on page 17 in the black and blue book. It says number 10, 11, and 12. You're going to solve for these now for your 2 points for your, I guess, attendance artifact still. Here's period 2s. I've been keeping track of them the whole month of September. Okay? You either got a 2 or a 0, whether you turned it in or not. If you get a bunch of zeros, then you got to do something about that starting today. Okay? But if you're good on that, it'll reflect in that grade at the end of the 9 weeks. Okay, so I've been keeping track of that. I want to update it probably by Friday or Monday next week, where you guys stand. So now number 10, enough talking about that. Suppose that 273 grams of one of the substances listed above, actually on the side, this right here, what they're talking about, displaces 26 milliliters of water. Based on finding the density with number 10, which one of the 3 is it? So you got to find the density of 273 divided by 26 to get the answer. And then look over here and tell me which kind of metal it is. Number 11, how many milliliters of water would be displaced by 408 grams of lead? For that one, you have to do volume equals mass divided by density. They give you the mass. If it's lead, well, the density of lead is right there, 11.35. So just divide them. And number 12, how can you determine the mass or the coin is not pure silver if you know the mass and the volume of the coin? Okay, so you know those two. How do you compare it? What do you compare it to? So try number 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to put your attendance in. I'll give you 2 minutes or so. You can calculate, you can divide on your Chromebook, and then you can put your answer in. Make sure the units are right. So find density for number 10. Find volume for number 11. And then what do you do to compare? Where would you look for number 12? That's what you're doing right now. When you're done, hit post reply, and I'll go through these with you, and then we'll get to the 10 density problems. Mr. Rinsky, could you come in late or something? Because you're marked absent. Just tell you what's here. Before you go to lunch, go to the office, tell Miss Christie, okay?
Okay.
Because you don't want to be marked for a day that you're here. Okay, so make sure you take care of that. That happens sometimes. Okay, a couple more seconds, another minute at the most. That was yesterday's. That was yesterday's stuff. I'm gonna go Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday. Okay, let's go these together. See what we got for number 10? You just had to divide those two, that's all you do. Remember, mass divided by volume. Just as the triangle says. So, let's do this correct, the way I wanted you guys to do it on the sheet. Put the equation first. And if you don't get all this, I'm recording it now anyway. You can go back before midnight and read this again or watch it again. And then we'll get into you can fix that and put it on for midnight. So, mass divided by volume. Plug the numbers in. My mass number is 273 grams divided by 26 milliliters. Mr. Barton, where's my density? 273 divided by 26, did you get it?
Yeah, 10.5.
Yes, sir. Good. Good job. 10.5. Now, the units go beside it should be grams per. Because it's a solid object, it shouldn't be milliliters. What should be instead? Cubic centimeters. Good. So I'm just going to type it. I don't like dealing with those little threes. Centimeters. And that's number 10. Questions on that? This should start getting into your wheelhouse now. That should be something that's pretty decent. Number 11, especially if you did the worksheet yesterday. This one you have to solve for volume. So volume equals, now this is mass divided by density. Remember this is the one I said we didn't use too much? The volume equals, my mass is 408 grams. So let's say I have a whole bunch of lead shot, like BBs, and I put them in a graduated cylinder. And it's going to move the water out of the way because you can't take up the same spot at the same time. The density of lead is 11.35 grams per cubic centimeter. My volume, how much did it move out of the way? That should come out to be, Ms. Sharp, you get it? It's 30 something, right?
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it yet? 35.95. Now, if that's volume, Mr. Ince, what unit should that be? Because that's the water moving out of the way. It's not density, it's volume. And it's not cubic centimeters, it has to be, yes ma'am, good job, milliliters. Liquids always measure milliliters for volume. And number 12, how can you determine that a coin is not pure silver if you know the mass and the volume of the coin? Okay, so you know the mass and the volume. how do you want to check it if it's pure or not? You go to the pawn shop, buy this piece of silver. Is it pure silver or are you getting gypped? Well, if I know the mass and the volume, I want to find the density. So I find the density of the coin. Step A, step 1, step A. Okay, first step. And then I'm going to go to the periodic table or to the internet and I'm going to look up the actual value. And the known density, so I'm going to compare to the known density of silver. And that's your answer for 12. If that coin is 10.5 as far as the density grams per cubic centimeter, then I have pure silver. If it's something else, then there's something else mixed in that metal and it's not going to be as valuable. Okay? They could have put lead in it if it was heavier. So that's what we're looking at with number 12. A question on 10, 11, and 12. Okay, you have till midnight tonight to post those. If you didn't get all of it or whatever, then you can finish it up, post it by midnight tonight to get the 2 points. I check those every morning. So you have till midnight. After midnight, the pumpkin or the Cinderella ball thing kind of turns back into a pumpkin. Okay. We want to go over those 10 problems from yesterday, from last night. So in your sheet, I'm going to post this reply now. So all the answers are there, you just have to go get them. I'm going to go back to modules. I'm going to go down to Tuesday's practice. The Tuesday's practice says, please use this time to review the answers to the first page of the density problem worksheet. So, the density problem worksheet was what I gave you on Monday. It looked like this. Okay, it was under Monday's practice activity. You open it up, it opens up in a Google Doc, and then you type the answers in. Okay? No paper this year. I'm going to try to do it all paperless. We'll see how far it goes. Okay, but this works out pretty good because I've already had this loaded up. You can watch a recorded lesson to fix any errors for anybody that's stuck, that decided to stay home, that you made on the first 10 problems. And then tomorrow, I'll do the recorded lesson for the second 10, since you guys all have no choice and you're going to be home anyway. Okay, you just check. And then by midnight tomorrow, you turn that in for a grade. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do the first 10 together. We'll do the second 10 tomorrow, and then you turn it in for a grade. There's no reason you don't get 100 on this. I'm going through every single thing. Okay? Now, to go through the first 10, what I did last period was I just used, because it gets kind of small with the font, and I can't make it really any bigger as far as the font on the Chromebook. Okay, so I'm going to go to the laptop or the camera side, and I have all these written down. Back in the old days, we used to use paper. Okay, and I can zoom in on this, so I think it'll be helpful for you. Now, if you don't get all of it, it's okay. It's all being recorded. It's going to be posted on Canvas. I'm going to do that next period so everybody can see it. Okay, during my prep after lunch. So, back in the old days, like I said, the problems are the same. They're just in my handwriting. It's like homemade problems. We did number 1 together yesterday, but I'll review it for you real quick. We have 50 kilograms of lead in a 5 cubic meter container. Density equals mass divided by volume. Make sure you put the equation first. Then you plug the numbers in. 50 kilograms for mass, 5 cubic meters for volume. You divide those two, 50 divided by 5 is 10. And that's going to be kilograms per meter cubed. What I always tell kids is that the mass always goes first. It's like you take these units, see how they're kind of like a division problem, and you just turn them on their side. It's like you lay them down. Okay, so take whatever's standing there, lay it down. It's easier to see when you're writing it, but it's still there on the Go down Monday. Right here. And then the worksheet. And then it'll say to open up in the tab underneath that triangle. Okay? Then you might have to, Ms. Williams, go back and look at this after we're finished, kind of finished up. Okay, we open yours up to start.
First line.
You should be a file that comes up. You might have to put your password in. And then just open it up. And then you're on your way. Okay? Now, number 2. $28 grams or milligrams of amoxicillin. Amoxicillin is an antibiotic. Okay, remember Fleming and his mold? It's dissolved in 4 milliliters of solution. So 28 divided by 4 will give you the answer. 28 divided by 4 is 7. These first few you really didn't need a calculator for. And then the unit's going to be milligrams per milliliter. You take what's on the side and you lay it down. Mass always comes first. Good. Keep going. So that's number 2. So that's like if you were a pharmacist and somebody came in and wanted that pink stuff. You probably took that big one, you had a sore throat or strep throat, and it doesn't taste very good. It makes it taste like bubble gum, but it really doesn't. It has to be kept in the fridge. Probably a lot of you took that as a younger child. That's saying that for every milliliter of the pink stuff, there's 7 milligrams of medicine in there. Okay, so that's how that's broken down. Okay? Number 3. A graduated cylinder is filled with 50 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. 150 grams of sodium sulfate are dissolved in the solution. Density equals 150 grams divided by 50 milliliters. 150 divided by 50 is easy math. That's 3. That'd be 3 grams per milliliter. Okay? Make sure you have the equation, the plug in, and then the answer, just like I had it there. And if you have to go back and watch the video, then that's okay. It's not going to hurt you any. It'll be on there the rest of the week. Going through, any questions on that? Okay. Number 4, you had to find the mass. This is one where you had to switch it up. Mass, you multiply. You multiply density times volume. The necklace had a volume of 54 cubic centimeters. The density of gold is 6. So 6 times 54 gives you the answer. Because it's mass, it has to be in grams.